Recall the days when Ford controlled the roads. This was no ordinary automaker. Rather, it was a representation of the American spirit and inventiveness. From the Mustang that attracted attention for generations to the Model T that got the nation moving, Ford created more than just automobiles, they created symbols. Now, however, things appear different. Ford appears to be stuck in reverse, and the heyday seems like a faraway memory. In this book, we'll remember that the last 20 years have still been far from overt. Customers are wondering what went wrong, and dealers are in a bind due to recalls, layoffs, and overstocked lots. However, just when it appeared that Ford was struggling, they made a shocking announcement that has the whole auto industry in a frenzy. This is not merely a business announcement. What Ford has disclosed has the potential to change not just their own future, but also the course of the whole auto industry. What does Ford and you stand to gain from this revolutionary move? Let's get started. We must first review what made Ford a legend in order to comprehend the significance of Ford's announcement. Ford was more than just a car manufacturer decades ago. It was a movement. Henry Ford's assembly line transformed global industry operations, in addition to the way automobiles were manufactured. The Model T became the vehicle that put America on wheels. And it didn't simply come off the assembly lines. Next came the Mustang, a vehicle that represented freedom in addition to speed. Encased in sleek, fashionable steel, it embodied the spirit of a generation that desired power and adventure. Not to be overlooked are Ford trucks, which have served as America's workhorses for many years. As indispensable as a hammer and nails, the F-Series was used by ranchers and construction workers alike. However, the magic began to fade somewhere along the line, as rivals like Tesla and Toyota started to dominate the market with innovations that made Ford appear outdated. Ford's hold on the market loosened. Ford appeared to lag behind as consumer expectations changed due to electric cars, hybrids, and advanced technology. This paved the way for a string of difficulties that culminated in the momentous announcement of today. Ford's problems were caused by a series of minor errors that grew worse over time rather than by a single catastrophic incident. During crucial times, Ford found it more difficult to meet demand due to outdated production systems. Leadership was reactive rather than proactive, as a result of their inability to adjust to market trends. Additionally, Ford found itself stuck in neutral as it attempted to catch up to rivals like Tesla, who blasted ahead with groundbreaking EV technology. The pandemic also did not help. The automotive industry was severely impacted by supply chain problems, growing material costs, and economic uncertainty. But Ford appeared to be particularly hard hit. The issue of overproduction became evident. You can see the proof if you visit a Ford dealership today. Rows of unsold Broncos, Rangers, and F-150s parked so closely together that some dealers are storing the excess on grassy fields. The figures are equally concerning. More than 5,000 brand new 2023 Ford trucks are still unsold as of November 24. That amounts to over 2% of Ford's total truck inventory that is currently unutilized. Furthermore, there are the 2255 models, or the absence of them. Less than 1,000 of the more than 200,000 new Ford trucks sold in the United States are 225s. Chevrolet has already switched over half of its inventory to the newest models, which is a sharp contrast to this. There is no doubt about the difference. Ford is having difficulty progressing, whereas its rivals are advancing at a rapid pace. Nevertheless, Ford made a statement that halted the industry in its tracks despite these difficulties. Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, disclosed that the company intends to increase the cost of its 2255 models. You read correctly. Ford is raising the bar while other automakers are lowering prices to clear inventory. This is a daring move that has left both customers and dealers perplexed. Why would Ford believe they can sell cars at higher prices if they aren't selling at their current ones? It's about long-term value, Farley says. Ford thinks that the advancements in their 2255 model lineup, new features, increased efficiency, and new technology will make these cars worth the higher price. Even though it will take some time, they are placing a wager that customers will see the value. However, not everyone is persuaded. Dealers who are already overwhelmed by unsold inventory are anticipating additional buyer resistance. In the meantime, consumers must contend with growing interest rates, which make it more costly than ever to finance a new vehicle. For Ford, it's a bold gamble that could either pay off handsomely or backfire spectacularly. The announcement seems to Ford's dealers like stoking a fire that is already on fire. In order to clear space on their lots, many continue to offer steep discounts on their massive inventories of 2023 and 2024 models. They must now introduce 2025 models with even higher price tags, and figure out how to persuade customers to pay the extra money. The logistical obstacles are mounting. Dealerships that were already overburdened now have to deal with the difficult challenge of juggling clearance sales and introducing the new lineup. Dealers are concerned that the timing couldn't be worse, even though Ford maintains that the 2025 models offer innovations that warrant the price increase. Selling these more expensive models is difficult due to rising interest rates, economic uncertainty, and fierce competition from companies like Toyota and Chevrolet. Nevertheless, Ford is still hopeful. Farley and his staff think that after consumers see what the new lineup has to offer, they will change their minds. However, the question still stands: how long can dealers hold out with so much unsold inventory still clogging dealership lots? The worst part is that Ford isn't merely counting on price increases to improve the situation. In an effort to establish themselves as a pioneer in the auto industry's future, they are also putting more effort into new technology and electric cars. Is a new era being ushered in? Or are they putting themselves in danger? We'll examine how Ford's pricing strategy and inventory crisis relate to their ambitious EV plans in Part 2. Keep an eye out. The sheer volume of cars sitting idle is the most noticeable thing at a Ford dealership right now. Models like the F-150 and Bronco were selling out a year ago. Right now, they're collecting dust. The issue is not only that these cars are still in production, but also that there are a lot of them. 2023 unsold models are now a pain in Ford's side, taking up valuable dealer lot space and necessitating steep discounts to move them. Additionally, Ford appears to be stagnating, while other automakers are making progress in getting rid of their outdated inventory. The majority of inventory from brands like Chevrolet and Ram has already been switched to their 2025 models. For example, Chevrolet has shifted more than half of its truck lineup to the new model year, rendering its 2023 models all but obsolete. Contrast that with Ford, where, at this late point in the year, unsold 2023 trucks still account for more than 2% of their total inventory. There is more to the problem than appearances. Customers have a perception issue when they enter a dealership and see rows of older models. Customers begin to doubt these cars' worth and wonder why they haven't sold. In order to clear the backlog, dealers must lower their prices, which further reduces their already slim profit margins. And the icing on the cake? Many dealers are feeling stuck in a difficult situation as a result of Ford's new pricing strategy for 2025 models. The industry is in disarray as a result of Ford's decision to increase the price of its 2025 models. It appears to be a daring, possibly even reckless move at first glance. CNBC Seekers a Shaggy Wagon has passed the first half-mile mark and is emerging from its necessary mechanical emergencies. The model was eventually stripped bare. Higher prices, after all, usually only work in situations where demand is high. However, the current state of Ford's business presents a very different picture. Inventory is high, demand is weak, and consumers are becoming more wary of expensive purchases. What is the reason behind Ford's price hike? Jim Farley, the CEO, claims that the key is to market the 2025 lineup as high-end goods that are worth the additional money. Ford thinks that these cars will stand out thanks to their new features, enhanced technology, and increased efficiency. Theoretically, it makes sense because consumers are willing to pay more for goods they believe to be of higher quality. In actuality, however, the timing couldn't be worse. The cost of financing a new car has increased due to rising interest rates. A higher price of cars' monthly payments are just too expensive for many buyers. It's easy to see why dealerships are concerned when you factor in inflation's after effects and economic uncertainty. In a thriving market, raising MSRPs might be effective, but in the current climate, it feels like a long-shot gamble. Let's examine the Bronco in more detail, one of Ford's most unexpected obstacles. This legendary model was an immediate hit when Ford brought it back. Dealerships were finding it difficult to meet the demand, as buyers couldn't get enough of it. Some customers were even prepared to pay significantly more than MSRP to obtain one, and waiting lists were months long. In the present day, the narrative is completely different. Broncos are piling up instead of flying off the lot. Unsold inventory is overflowing onto grassy fields and secondary lots, and dealers are running out of space to park them. The Bronco itself isn't the issue. It's still a capable, adventure-ready SUV that fans adore. The cost is the problem. For instance, the 2024 Ford Bronco Badlands has an astounding MSRP of more than $78,000. It's simple to understand why buyers are hesitant when you contrast that with the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, its primary rival, which has a much more affordable price. Also, discounts aren't doing much to help. The price of the Bronco Badlands remains at an eye-watering $62,000, despite dealer incentives and factory rebates totaling over $7,000. That's simply too high for the majority of buyers, particularly given the current market.